Hello and welcome to another quick look. Me, GamerWolfSix, of another furry visual novel. This one, Pervader, a game about, bring up the synopsis. Pervader is a plot-heavy, linear visual novel set on an island continent which has its own history, myths, and secrets. You play the role as Reamus, a young cougar who is thrust into the world of magic, politicking, which I think that's a word, maybe, and sinister plots. The main character is joined by two companions, Alen, an old brown bear, and yet Jymsar, a young black leopard, whom you get to know very intimately as you travel the world in search of a cure for a strange magical affliction that plagues you. So, also before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, it's available for free on the show, but if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the newest version earlier, then you can go to their Patreon, where it's $3 a month. Also, if you want me to do this as a Let's Play series, then tell me, and I'll give it a point, which will put it up higher on the list. I don't know why my voice cracked. And if you have any other visual novels to suggest that I do for quick looks or Let's Plays, then tell me. So, is there anything else I need to do? I guess say sorry ahead of time that, hey, this might be even more unprofessional because I have peas. I don't have my pea filter here because I'm on a little bit of vacation, but I want to do stuff. So reset my face. Also, this music here, as I turned this on, I was like, oh, that's the music that was going through my head because, I don't know, for some reason this game's music got stuck in my head. Reset face. Maybe it's just my brain likes pianos. Start. Your name, default. A ray of light fell upon my face, knocking upon my eyelids to invite a new day. I cringe, and shift away from the light. Is it time to wake up already? Everything is fairly quiet. No ruffling sounds. No commotion. Maybe no one else has woken up yet. Then I can lay a little longer. Ah yes, I don't know why it sounds loud even though it's just kissing the yellow bars. Yes. If I'm needed, Mother would barge in and wake me. And likely tug my ear off for oversleeping. Or maybe Father would knock at the window and give me the first task of the day. Sometimes my brothers would conspire against me and find a new rude ways to awaken me. I'm fine with that, if I can just stay like this for a little while longer. Alas, I have to go pee. Reality was setting in. I sighed and turned to sink my face in the rags of my makeshift pillow. Neither mother, nor father, nor brother would wake me, as I was in a foreign land far, far away from home. A ship had taken me northeast, across the sea, to this country of Orithane and its town of Chariot. Presently, I sat up and looked around me. The shack. It's a love shack, baby. A small rickety door stood ajar on the other end. It was gently swaying on its falling hinges. I used to work on ships. The motion played with the sun's rays, creating an annoying ambiance through the narrowing and winding shaft of light. Shaft. It was a tiny place, about a wagon's length and breadth, the loose assembly of withered planks that made the walls didn't seem to offer much shelter, but it worked well enough. Whomever made it in their home before me had thought to fit tarps around the outside, a small mercy I had come to appreciate the one time it rained, a couple of weeks back. The other shacks weren't so fortunate. I went to find better lodging by the end of summer, and better work to pay for it. Well, you're on a ship. The thought was a bit troubling. Back home, we did not experience harsh cold seasons. This region was much closer to the northern lands of Everwinter. Lands of Ever... I guess places where it's always cold. Man, that sounds great. And they say Oriathane has dark and windy autumns, so it was an open question whether this shanty could keep the wind at bay. Yeah. Maybe I should talk to him about fitting some improvements. Small as it may be, two of us were housed in here. My shackmate across from me, Jonah, was now stirring in his bunk. The space is narrow. I could reach out and touch him, from where I lay. He turned over to face me, his eyes narrowly opened. "Morning, lad." "Good morning, Jonah." His voice was hoarse with age and morning grogginess. He smacked his old lips a couple of times. I hate when people do that. Why are you staring? Oh, sorry. Sleep still bothering ye? Not as much anymore. I've gotten used to it. Jonah turned over again to stretch his back, yawning. Though he was getting on in age, he's still pretty springy and tough. A plain, kindly soul. He works at the docks and spends most of his waking moments there, saving enough money for a trip. His daughter lives in a town far to the east, and she's waiting for him to visit. Once he leaves, he won't be coming back. Said he would stay with her. 4 years ago, he was as much a stranger to this place as I was when I arrived. He saw that I was a stranger too. I think that's why he started looking after me. Okay, maybe we're like on the docks, because it said we're on docks. We're expecting a big ship today. One of those syndicate charters. Haven't seen him in a while. He rolled out of bed and went to put on his moccasins. Yeah, he's a big old lad. Maybe working there through midnight, so don't wait up for me. While he was getting ready for the day, I had something else I needed to attend to. I would, ooh. I lean in and reach for the nearest space. I thought I'd turn that off. Whoops, sorry. Wait. I could have sworn I looked at that. I lean in and reach for the narrow space between the bed and the wall to pull out a leather pouch. Inside of it was the notebook, and I would read through it again. Jonah looked at me curiously. Hey, he looked like a mighty pirate. Also, one thing I just want to check. Okay, he has pants on. Just want to be sure. Wow, the music is really kind of loud. I'm gonna put it down some more. You've been doing that every morning since you started working. I need to do a little every day. A little what? He leaned in gently to peek at the pages of the notebook. He'd seen me with it plenty of times and never asked me about it before. I'm trying to get better at reading and writing. Oh. He went wide-eyed and nodded in understanding. I thought you went to school. I did, for a little while. Alen asked me to get better, though. You working with books now? Is that boss fella of yours be telling ye? He hasn't said exactly. I think he wants me to help out with the paperwork. Ah, I see. I know ye a smart fella, Reamus. I can see ye working in a place like that until you're old. God knows, I'd be doing that if I could. He must be paying ye well. Not really. It's okay. If he didn't ask me to work for him when he did, I probably would have ended up at the docks with you. Only reason I didn't is because there weren't any office work offers. Now though. Jonah looked. I swear I can read. I started this being like, I can read, and then all of a sudden it's like, Jonah shook his head in defiance. There we go. Laddie, don't throw it away just yet. It ain't often that a farmer's boy like yourself gets to work for your fancy man like that, for a fancy man. Even if it ain't great now, maybe you'll learn something useful, something that will help you out in the future. I can tell you there's something great about being a dock worker. There ain't nothing great. There's something great about. Oh, wait, nothing great about being dock worker. You slave an entire life away and barely get enough coin to settle down by the time your bones turn brittle. It do be like that. Barely enough time and money to see the ones you love. Hang on tight to that job, you hear? I don't know if it's a good place to work, but I know it ain't this barrel's bottom. So, if you have to get better at reading, you do that. Keep at it. I wish I could help you, but that face, was never much for reading either. All I can do is let you practice in peace. Okay, thanks, Jonah. He left, pushing the door open and letting it swing back and forth as he walked away. My attention shifts back to the notebook. I would look through it whenever I could. There are pages and pages of various notes, copied texts, exercises, and rhymes. Some of my scribbled drawings were in there as well. Reading and writing were difficult. Father didn't learn enough to put us through more than a few years of school, didn't earn enough. My brothers and I were not expected to lead bookish lives. We were simple folk. I did, however, pick up a good manner of speaking from the days of listening to preachers in the market square. Maybe if I slow down the stuff a bit. Boop. Maybe this music reminds me of like a Dastra, with all the piano-ness and slowness. Yeah. Some of them had funny ways of expressing themselves. Occasional inflections stuck to my mind, and I would remember phrases. A various man keeps truth between words and deeds. A virtuous man keeps truth between words and deeds. A various man. Many of those sayings had been scrawled down already. Whenever I would remember one, it would be added with the others. Seeing the words on paper and hearing them recounted in my mind helped to strengthen my reading ability. I wish that worked for me. A couple of pages should be enough. The writing exercises would come later when I would be at a desk. After a few minutes, I was confident in my review and put the notebook back in its leather. I shuffled out of bed and quickly put on my salt-stained boots. The leather strap of the bag was beginning to wear out, but I slung it over my shoulder just the same. Alen will want to inspect my notes. It's a farm-ish, the village. The worker camp was just beginning to stir. Men of different ages and sizes would soon be roaming about, attending their morning needs. A man coughed as he clanked a spoon against the kettle, the one at the hearth behind the camp office. Outside the gate, a wagon was being drawn, its wheels snapping twigs and crushing leaves that had started to litter the ground. Beyond the wagon came the nagging call of a housewife searching for her husband or son. Walking ahead, I heard a slight crackling noise coming from nearby. It was a campfire between a pair of shacks along the path. A few men were gathered around it, chuckling, sighing, and whispering, so as not to wake those who wanted more rest. I spotted Jonah among them. A bell would ring later on to make sure no one overslept. Half of us would be off before we could even hear it. I passed a few other shacks and made my way to the scuttlebutt. There would always be enough water in it for everyone's morning use. One person could be on duty to fill the scuttlebutt every morning and afternoon, or would be on duty. Wasting water would earn you scowls. I grabbed one of the empty buckets and filled it about halfway, then placed it on the counter to the side. With cupped hands, I leaned in to grab a drink. The water was too warm to be pleasant, but it deals with thirst. I had to clean up a little. My palms sank and resurfaced, splashing my face to wash away the grimes of sleep. I set aside my leather bag on the counter and put off my shirt, draping over the bag. On the counter lay several bars of Brillash soap, some of which were more or less used up. Which, yeah, that's a typo. I'm not sure if I can find the people that make this game, but might as well put that, you know? I grabbed one of the smaller ones, dampened it, and started working it over my body. Ooh. Even though the days and nights are not as hot here as back home, I still sweat a lot. It do be like that. Father would always say that to make yourself proper, you had to wash your face, your armpits, and your nether regions. Ooh. That last one I decided not to honor right now. The soap had a fine, creamy texture to it, and impressed a slightly sharp, minty odor. It washes away easily, yet the freshness sticks to you long into the evening. Back when I lived on the farm, we used to make our own soap, just like this. All the neighborhood families did the same. I wonder what soap would be made of. I mean, like, because when I played a game which could be accurate, it's like made out of pig's fat or something, so where would, soap be made from in these times? Maybe there's animals like an echo. Or the smoke room. In town, though, soap makers had a handle on that. Balsamics. Were much more fragrant, but very expensive. You could always tell the weight of someone's purse by their smell. I flicked my arm and stretched, checking my body as I washed up. When I was younger, Mother would often make sweet rolls for me, my brothers and friends. My brothers and friends. And that had always chunked me up a little. I kept some of my roundness from before, tempered with a bit more muscle from all that hefty manual labor I'd done since I came here. Felines were common around these parts, though none were like me. Cats and black leopards abound, but there was a good chance I was the only cougar in town. Chariot had made me an exotic. I felt confident in my body. Wish I had someone to share it with. It do be like that, my dude. Since coming here, I'd met a man who would take me up on that. I hadn't met a man who would take me up on that. Working and looking for work had kept me busy. Now that things are settling down, maybe I should take a gander? There's a brothel in town, and I even heard there were working men. Part of the reason why I wanted to leave home was because of my sexual inclinations. Many provinces had laws against bedding another man, but not here. Oh, so this place is not like Texas. Depending on, because, I do these things ahead of time. We'll see. Oriathane, as a country, cared little about things like that. That place sounds great. To these people, profit is paramount. The lords rise and fall based on their ability to stimulate the flow of coin, and brothels ran like rivers. Satisfied with my grooming, I shook off the water from my fur and put my shirt back on, took my bag, and headed for the exit. Stepping outside the gate, I saw a notice board where people would occasionally place work offers. Where once I would study it obsessively, now I only glance it over out of habit. This way leads straight to the market, which used to be my hunting ground. I arrived in this town 5 months ago. Half of the money I saved up had gone to the trip. The other half I lost foolishly by staying at the inn. Why couldn't someone have told me about the work camp sooner? Although my accent wasn't thick. Is that how you spell accent? It was obvious to everyone that I was not from the region. A few businesses had operated here would rather hire locals than someone like me. Still, I would usually find an errand or two, enough to earn my bread. Over time, I had become more familiar with the townspeople and felt like I was starting to be accepted. The services in the market are a fairly tight-knit community. Servicers? Tight-knit community. Most of them have tiny stalls, selling whatever they grow or make themselves. Ironworks, herbs, fruits, and vegetables, things of straw and hemp. Liquor was very popular. None of these goods came from the ships in this port town. I had hoped I would find work at the bakery, but alas, it was an impenetrable family business, just like the one I left behind. The customers around the market were dockers or crew taking leave from the ships moored in port. Scholars, traders, traveling entertainers, adventurers, and the odd noble would occasionally stop by to taste the local produce. Although there was as much traffic at sea, cargoes coming in and out were designated for other places in and out of the region. It was the hub of traffic, not the biggest town, but it was growing. As I walked further along, I could spot one of the wharfs at the dock where a boat was either just mooring or departing. I had often tried to enlist with one of the ships. I do miss being at sea sometimes, watching the land drift off in the distance, or getting closer, or seeing it, the land move horizontally with the ship. Decent times. Except when, bad things happened. Like the ship catching fire. It do be like that. Although these crews had men from all around the world, and thus wouldn't care about where your accent placed you, there had even less of a chance. There are men with sea experience who could stalk the gang yards for opportunities. Men much more valuable than me in that regard. I need to switch my legs because I'm laying on the ground. It was no secret that salty dogs were 10 times more valuable than any lad still wet behind the ears, if I had only come here as a seaman rather than a passenger. You'd think you'd have to press people into it, though maybe press ganging was... Yeah, I guess press gang would only be for the military. Anyways, that didn't matter anymore. Now, I have a reliable job. I crossed through the market, saying good morning to the kind people. It was still fairly early, so most hadn't even set up their stalls yet. The ironmonger was always the first one to open up. His services were sought after by seamen coming in to ask for repairs or spare parts, partially because he was a carpenter too. He was a hard man, and I didn't know him well, but he always nodded hello my way when I would see him at the earliest hour. Others were loading up their crates with produce. Most were too busy to even notice me passing. Finally, I came upon an antique shop. I approached the door and glanced through the frosted glass before entering. Stepping inside, my lungs and nose were impressed by the odd, old, and pleasant quality of the air. It carried the sensation of history in a bottle. It would always hit me when I entered, but fade away as I got accustomed to it. Like scents. Sometimes there would be burning incense at the entrance to welcome customers, but today lacked any fancy. It meant Alen was expecting a slow day. Or he just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Bookshelves, counters, cases, and vitrines, decorated all sorts of junk and treasures, were arranged along the walls and in counter islands. I looked over the desk across the room, my ears picking up the shuffling sounds beyond it. Leaning over the desk, I spotted Alen in the closest office to the side. He was looking through some papers and hadn't noticed me yet. I cleared my throat to get his attention. "He's an otter." "Oh, Reamus." "Good morning, Alen." "So... Wait, isn't Reamus... No, or am I Alen? Sorry, bad with names. Okay, we're Reamus. Wait, he's a brown bear?" I mean, I guess. The fuzziness here makes me think otter. Alen was a very gentle person most of the time. If I had to guess, I'd place him around my father's age. His tenor of speech and mannerisms tell of a bookish man, yet he carries himself with neighborly quaintness. 1 month ago, he approached me and asked if I wanted to work for him. There's no need to consider the offer. Immediately, I accepted. Before then, a couple of people in the market had hired me to deliver some goods across town, and I visited Alen twice. Everything was delivered on time, and he always seemed pleased. Was that enough to convince him I was worth hiring? At the time, I didn't even notice what he was about. I had overheard people gossiping about the antique shop and Alen, but I didn't pay much attention. At the time, I assumed it wasn't the place I'd find work. When he asked me, I was caught off guard. As it turned out, the job wasn't anything special, at least as far as I'm concerned. Just some housekeeping, dusting off old things, hauling stuff, and helping out in any way I can. Simple tasks, and decent opportunity for me. He says he wants me to do more work though, things that would have to do more to do with the business. That's why I've been trying to improve my reading and writing. I'm eager to learn more from him, and he is willing to teach. Alen himself is very smart and knowledgeable to understand all of these old things. He deals with the clients, although there aren't many of them. Still don't quite understand why people seek out these kinds of antiques. He walked out of the echoed space with papers in hand and stood by the desk. You came in early. Did you sleep well? Well enough. I'm sleeping better lately. Oh, you had troubled nights before? Sleeping was difficult when I first arrived. Different land, different bed. Even the air tastes different. I think I've gotten used to it now. That's good. I've been here for a few years now myself. It was hard for me too. That's a weird thing I find out tasting air sometimes. I never like the air of like Texas. It always tastes, I mean, maybe it's because it's like humid all the time, so it tastes like, I don't know, gym. Like a gym locker room when everyone's changing. But the north, maybe it's because like less humidity, smells better. And what's weird, the coastline smells like fish and it smells like salt. Being at sea, it doesn't. I don't know why. The air here, it's much heavier and dirtier. Oh, I miss the mountain breeze up north, the crisp morning chill, the flightless sky, and softness of clouds. Oh yeah, I do miss the mornings at my grandma's place. Like, you know, being up north is nice. Every day felt like a wonder. Now, every day I kick myself for leaving. What about you? Which wind blew into my shop? I'm not sure. He chuckles lightly. I'm asking where you're from, Reamus. Oh, Ardeny. He leans back and looks at me with a hint of pleased astonishment. Really? I had a couple of Ardenines before, and their accents were much thicker. The place I'm from is close to the mainland coast, and we have a lot of foreigners. I've never really thought about it, but I guess that would make us sound more like mainlanders. You've probably met Ardenines from deeper in the country. Their dialects are much more distinct. Did they tell you which region they were from? I don't quite remember. It was a long time ago. You're the first person from Arni I've met in years. Huh. I would have thought there would be many Ardennes. Ardanes? Yeah, whatever. Traveling this way. Perhaps many have. Just none to the shop. My cousin is usually limited to his humble establishment. I don't often make it my business to check the comings and goings of people from around these parts. Back home, I heard a lot of stories about people leaving the country for the mainland, but I haven't met any other Ardanes here either. Well, it's not a place I would settle down willingly, but I'd love to visit Ardeny someday. I've heard the countryside is beautiful, and I know the wine is exquisite. You like Ardene wine? Of course, and a couple of Sarina's half bottles stored away for special occasion, vintage 88. Alen leans in and cups a hand behind his mouth, speaking in a playfully covert manner. Between you and me, those 2 bottles are worth more to me than anything else in here. He smiles and chuckles lightly while straightening out his papers. Alright, well, we have a lot of work to do today. I need you to stay overnight. How come? Alen's expression turns stoic as he leans back. Receiving a large shipment later today, coming in by boat. I received a delivery notice shortly before you came in. A shipment? Who from? The Silverine Watch. Silverine Watch? I sensed a foreboding hint in Alen's voice, but also excitement. The shipment is important. The Silverine Watch. They're soldiers of the Inquisition. Those who set themselves as defenders of the innocent against the Pervaders and their magic. Under their vigil, no lawful use of magic would be tolerated. Are you going to be like a magical person or something? They must be good at their jobs, because I've never seen any magic. I'd never known a Pervader either. They said to be dangerous and in hiding. You would hear tales of glorious battles between watchmen and Pervaders, yet it also felt so foreign to me, like a story from distant place and time. Inquisitors would often come and preach in town and square about the evil of Pervaders, of twisted magic that killed and burned innocents. Those discourses always seemed so heated, warning people of awful dangers. Nobody I knew had ever come face to face with anything of the sort. At first, it made me fearful, but they would drone on and on for so long and so often that I began to tune it out. What is the Silverine Watch sending to Alen? Why do they need his help? Alen lowers his head and smiles to himself. He rubs the desk idly and clears his throat. So, how goes your reading and writing? Good. Well, better, I would say. That's because I'm gonna need your help cataloging the shipment. Oh, don't worry yourself. We'll be working together. All I have to do is write down what I tell you and tell you while I go through the items. The notes are from my own archives. It doesn't have to be done perfectly. I'll view everything afterwards. I'd appreciate it if you were careful. Okay, you can count on me. Alen is staring up at me, studying me. Do you know why I hired you, Reamus? He asked that question softly, but I'm sure if it was meant as a reminder or genuine inquiry. Alen has always been responsible and kind, or reasonable and kind, so I discard any apprehension. You needed someone to help with housekeeping? No. Well, yes, of course, housekeeping is needed too. More importantly, I judge that you have what I needed in an assistant. You're diligent. That's what everyone in town says, and it's true as far as I've seen. And while you have been with me, I have also learned that you are cautious and curious. I just clean and move things. Because cleaning and moving need to be done, among other things. A scholar cannot study without first dusting off his tomes. More interesting avenues will soon open to you, if you're ready for them. What do you mean? Looks down and away for a moment, his eyes considering the moment carefully. Then, he turns towards me and carries his words with probing eyes. You've been with me for a month now. What do you think? Do you like working here? It's been good. I'm very thankful. What about your stipend? I don't pay you as much as a dock worker. Their jobs, they strain themselves more. He has a conciliatory nod. Conciliatory? You're young. You look strong enough. You could have worked at the docks instead, earned better coin. Why didn't you? I couldn't find work with them. About a week after I started working for Alen, there's a call for more dock hands posted at the workers' camp Noseport. I remember thinking it over. If I should quit working for him and do that instead, I'd have Jonah there with me too. But Jonah said I shouldn't have quit yet. You'd probably be mad at me if I did. Was the nose still there? I didn't pay it any attention. If you had the opportunity, would you go work at the docks instead? This is what he was getting at. Is he testing my loyalty? My honesty? Is there some hidden purpose to this, spurred on by the news of the shipment? Does he want to let me go? No. He says he needs help with the shipment. Then, what do I really want? I guess it was just that I just want to find my place in the world. That's why I left home, left mother and father and little brother behind. My big brothers before me had also departed, off to different corners of the country. Sorry, reading yacht. Also check the time? Okay. The moments crystallized in my mind when I fell into this adventurous mood. It's called Wanderlust. It was all because of a water globe. My father told me of the story of how one day a man came to our bakery to purchase cake bread while I was away doing chores. The man tasted it and said it was very delicious. He enjoyed it so much that he finished eating it then and there. By the end, he was licking his fingers. Father was praised by the man, who said it was the best cake bread he had ever eaten. He liked it so much that he wanted to do more than pay. To show his appreciation, he gifted Father a water globe. Father gave the thing to me, and I was completely mesmerized by it. Never would I have thought that such baubles would captivate me, but once I held it in my hands, I was in another world. It was so pretty. The encapsulated scene was of a boat near the coast, and on that coast sat a pyramid covered with glittering gold. I would play with it all the time, swaying it and flipping it to make the little flakes inside it dance. So a snow globe. At night, I'd place it on the shelf next to my bed. The thing carried me into sleep, and I would drift off wishing I could wake up in the world of that globe. That tiny little thing inspired so much wonder, so many powerful emotions within me. Unfortunately, the globe didn't survive long. My little brother played with it. A week after Father gave it to me, slipped and fell, smashing it against the ground. It broke into tiny, unsalvageable pieces. It was the most upsetting thing that ever happened to me up until then. Despite that mishap, the inspiration I had gained from it stuck with me and grew stronger. It made me bold. So bold that it spurred me to travel overseas. Of course, when I got here, my dreams were somewhat shattered. Oriathane is a grayer place, and people don't seem quite as happy. Oriathane? Reality hit me like a brick. A man has certain coin to feed himself, and I quickly put away all those adventurous dreams. Despite all that, things aren't going too terribly. Working for Alen seems pretty interesting. There may be a future here. I've certainly seen lots of things around the shop that could even be called treasures. Maybe this is the glitter that I was so desperate to find. It could be a disappointment to my younger self, but I'm not so young anymore. Life is never going to be that wondrous. holding on to that childish dream like that would seems foolish and wasteful. My thoughts went to my little brother. Would he have silly dreams like mine? Would he end up far away from home like all of us? My heart pulls back to our home back at Ardney. I want to see my brother and warn him not to be like me. Warn him away from risky decisions like those which had almost trapped me. When I recalled Father, I felt his presence, like he was watching over me from across the sea. How worried would he be? How worried would Mother and little brother be? They must know I'm fine. I want to see them again, but now is not the time. Those childish dreams may never come into fruition, but I have taken on a new dream, that of making something out of myself here. My future is ahead of me. Is it with Alen? Is it at these docks? Is it with one of these ships? The one thing I know for sure is that it's not waiting for me back at home. Oh. My senses returned to me, and I realized that Alen's staring at me. I must have been lost in thought for a bit too long. Should I work at the docks instead? I still don't have a good answer to him. Sorry. It's alright. I'm sorry I made you worry. Let me explain. You're a bright young man, and the entire world is open to you. For you, these are the years which will define the rest of your life. I can see it in your eyes that you understand. It is good to be concerned about your future. Perhaps you've had it tough lately. Sometimes you have to push yourself through hardships until the good opportunities show up. This job is one of those good opportunities, and I want to convince you of that. Yet, at the same time, I'm not sure where your heart is. Here's the deal. I'd like you to become my assistant, not just a handyman. That means you will have to help me with research. I've urged you to improve your reading and writing because, moving forward, you will need to do a lot of studying. Do not worry, there is time. I am patient and will help you. Studying what? Ancient lore. Have you ever heard of Nigantus? I shook my head. It's a lost civilization from 1,000 years ago. I really should do she sells seashells by the seashore so I can enunciate. In the past few decades, scholars have taken a keen interest in their relics. Many ruins are being discovered and rediscovered due to recent archaeological innovations. These places are rich in old treasures, things that have special, elusive qualities to them. My job is that of an unraveler who studies these objects and brings out their secrets. Okay, but I don't quite understand. Secrets? It sounds very vague. Yes, I am being vague, aren't I? Alen sighs and glances away for a moment. Alright. Tell me, Reamus, so far, does the job I describe sound appealing to you? I don't know. Maybe? Working at the bakery or at the docks is fine to earn coin, but there must be more that I can do. Not just manual labor. This ancient world business sounds interesting, but I don't understand. Alen, is there something you're not telling me? I want to say yes. Alen shuffles in the seat uncomfortably. Pause lingers for a bit too long, making me unsure if I should say anything. Now, I have one more important thing to tell you. This is why I've been asking you to consider. It's wonderful that I managed to tempt you. Yet there are implications in this line of work, which may not sit well with you. There is more to what I do here than just putting a price on old things. And we're going to cut it here because that's going to be the end of this. Sorry, I just had to do that. Where it's like, here's this cliffhanger. What's the thing going to be? Who knows? Anyways, what is it? Alen sternly stares at me like never seen him do. He leans in to rest his elbows on the desk and steeples his hands. Reamus. I'm a pervader. Dun dun dun! Which, means he does magic. Which is something I find weird that he says to somebody he met, like, a month ago. My mind went blank for a moment. Pervader, a wielder of magic. Those people whom the Inquisition demonized. Am I supposed to have a strong reaction to that? To say I don't believe it, or to show fear or excitement? I do believe it, and I think I'm afraid and excited and a dozen other things, but all of that cancels itself out and numbs me. His expression is almost flat. It betrays a shard of anticipation. Why? Why am I a pervader? No, I mean, why are you telling me this? Why now? It's because of the work we'll be doing here. You see, this little shop I have here is more than meets the eye, although most of the items I have here are just old oddments. Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing. A few of them have very special properties. Things infused with magic enhancements. They're tools, like a hammer or a pump, but powered by magic. With items, such items can be used to do many, many things. They're quite useful and prevalent in the north. However, enchantments aren't banned in the south, throughout the domain. Inquisition laws. So, you make enchantments? I can, but that's not what I do here. Have you ever seen an enchantment? No, I've never seen any kind of magic or anything like that. Alen opens one of the desk drawers and pulls out a shaft of wood about a foot long, narrow as a finger at one end, tapered at the other end. He hands it to me. It's called a wand. Hold up with one hand and flick your thumb across it. Go on, don't be afraid. It's harmless. I do as he says. As I nervously follow his instructions, I see the tip of this thing begin to glow. A bright glare comes into existence. It's like a flame of a torch, but it doesn't flicker or sway in any manner. No, it's something else entirely, not attached to the instrument at all, a wisp of light that levitates gently above the wood. My hand trembles at the strange event I am witnessing. I pull back the piece of wood, and the wisp I'm just switching legs. Follows the movement like a relentless gnat. I hate those. Keeping itself perched above the tip. Where you're holding is a wand that has been enchanted with a torch spell. It is one of the most common enchantments, as well as one of the most useful ones. Alen gestures with his hand in a strange fashion, muttering something under his breath. In an instant, another wisp of light materializes, floating above his hand. Pervader can do this kind of magic innately, but enchanted tools can be used by anyone, and that is their value. We both stare at the strange pair of lights and how they dance to rhythm of the gestures. Excitement courses through me as I play with it. Alen recognizes my enthrallment and begins to laugh softly. I reach with my other hand to touch the tiny floating sun. Does it burn? I try to fondle it, but my fingers don't touch anything. The only thing they detect is a pleasant warmth. The wisp passes through my fingers and palm. A moment of awkwardness is felt as I realize it is shining from within the flesh of my hand. Then I move my hand away to let it escape. Alright, flick your thumb over it again. As I do so, the light vanishes into a trail of orange glowing mist and floats and fades away. Alen had distinguished his as well. What do you think? I turn the wand over in my hands to study it. Nothing about it would tell you that it contained such power. If you asked me before, I would have said, it's just a fancy little stick. Can I keep it? Alen chuckles and wags his finger. Now, these are not toys. Besides, you wouldn't want to be caught waving one of these around. The Inquisition would find you. Give the one back to him, and he puts it back in the drawer. Different wands have different spells, so be careful if you ever handle one of these. Most wands are enchanted to trigger when touched in the manner I explained to you, but some may be designed differently. You don't want to fire off something you don't understand. Why didn't you tell me you were... why didn't you tell me you were a Pervader? The Inquisition? Alen leans back and stares off to the side. It is a precarious thing. First, I want to see if I could trust you and rely on you, and I wanted you to get to know me. Too many people have heard too many terrible stories about Pervaders, and that made it very difficult. Not to mention that this region is in a gray zone when it comes to magic. Does anyone else know? Nobody in town knows. Most of them think I'm just obsessed with trinkets, which is also true. I don't want anyone to know, so... Of course, I won't say a word. Thank you. Alen sighs. Is all that alright with you? I wasn't sure what to answer. It was a lot to take in. Ori Thane has given me lots of surprises, and Alen wasn't even from this region. It's very exciting, but I'm not sure if it was too much excitement. Would working for a Pervader put me in danger? Would I become suspicious in the eyes of the Inquisition? And then we have a shipment coming from the Inquisition, which didn't seem right. You have misgivings, but I promise there's nothing to worry about. Reamus, I want you to keep working here. If you're thinking about leaving, you must let me convince you to stay. Doubtless, you have many questions. Please ask me anything, and I'll answer as best I can. Well, can I get a raise? Let's just go through these things. We got time. What was it again? How come we're getting shipment from the watch? Do they know you're Pervader? They know. Wait, they know? It's true. The Inquisition and their Silvern Watch have no love for my kind, and neither do I theirs. But I'm stuck having to serve them. Wait, so they know? What do you mean you have to serve them? I thought it was just a shipment. It's their property, not mine. They sent it to me for inspection. Let me explain. A few years ago, I arrived in town. The Inquisition imposes a law that says all Pervaders within the domain must register with the local watch authority. The idea is to keep us in check and monitor our presence and movement. That's kind of weird. It'd be like, we're the Spanish Inquisition or the Inquisition. We're gonna find these witches and make them register with the government so we can keep an eye on them. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm an Inquisition pirate. I mean, that seems pretty lenient-ish, especially with the word Inquisition, you know? If you travel to a different kingdom or country, you must check in with the authority there to make yourself known. They also prohibit the use of magic without license. Most Pervaders don't respect these laws of theirs, and neither do I. We tend to keep our business behind closed doors or away from populated areas. I was caught and arrested after working in a shop for a few months without their knowledge. They would have charged me with a crime for not alerting them. Instead, I was offered a deal. They would look the other way and not bother me, but I'd have to work for them. Pervaders like me are used to inspect contraband for enchantments. The watch itself doesn't have the ability to do it effectively. Is that why they're coming now? They want you to check for enchantments? Yes. A couple of decades ago, the Inquisition put in place an embargo on enchanted goods from across the domain. That is to say, Pendragon, your country of Ardeny, and Jymsar. Some of these southern fiefs of Oriathane are also part of the domain, this region included, although the exact jurisdiction is a mess and unclear. Nord... yeah, it's funny when they just are like, let's have a whole bunch of words. Nord Inklay ships used to move a lot. Alright, yachts. I mean, it's also like 9 o'clock. Used to move a lot of enchantments back then. They've been suffering from the Inquisition's restrictions. Now, there are black markets everywhere. Even though Nord Inklay is no longer trafficking in enchanted goods, you can still find many of them across the domain. So, when the Watch catches something suspicious through their customs or raids, they send it to me or someone else like me to check for enchantments. Can I get a raise? Alen chuckles and slams the desk, amused at my question. Sure, why not? The others I spoke of seem more important, but I guess that just shows my ignorance. I shouldn't expect my worries to be yours. Well, I just want to make sure. Weighing all the options, I understand that demands respect. Oriathane makes us all coin conscious. You do not worry about money. There's plenty to make in the future. Well, that's nice. If you want to work out your pay, we can do that later, after this silver and watch business is over and done with. I like you and want you to stay here, but don't abuse an old man's sympathy, Reamus. Let's come to a fair agreement. Oh, I can't nickel and dime him? Yeah, can I learn magic? Oh, you want to learn magic now? I'm just asking if it's possible. Well, unfortunately no. Not unless you're Pervader yourself. And it's probably a good thing that you're not. Anyone who does not have to worry about the Inquisition should count themselves blessed. But what does it mean to be a Pervader? It's an innate thing. Nobody knows they're Pervader until they awaken to their power. Truthfully, you, or anyone else, could be a Pervader that simply hasn't awakened yet. How old are you? 24? Or 20 and 4? Man, that old thing of being like, 20 and 4, sir. If you're a Pervader, it would be very late awakening. I bet he's a Pervader. No, I don't think you are one. Very few people turn out to be Pervaders. About 1 in 10,000, I believe. Count yourself among the lucky many. Am I really? I think most people would like to be able to use magic. Most people wouldn't know what they were getting into. Okay, with that and us getting close to that 1 hour mark, I think that's a good time to call it. Unless it's like, somebody's gonna walk through the door? But yeah, there's other people. Like, there's Black Cougar who looks... I'm not sure what to call that garbed. There's a very scary looking dragon or lizard guy. Some other guy with a knife. I don't know what he would be. Some ladies. I like the one in the middle. With the eyes and the boobs. Hey, I like ladies. Having a tit is nice. Anyways, end of this quick look. So comment, cause I like comments, haven't you like, dislike, tips, or otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like to see it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos to help it grow. And please remember to spay near your animals to help control the pet population. And if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the newest version earlier, then you can go to Patreon, where it's $3 a month. And was doing all this talkity talk, I was able to do other stuff. So we're gonna close this game. Boop. But did we save it? I mean, we probably would never use a save if we came back to this game. But let's see, Pervader goes into quick looked. And random generator pick 13. Yes, we got a whole bunch of things now because people suggested it. And there was this other thing I looked at. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which is... Do 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 do. Split Sprite Studio. It does have stuff. Northern Lights. A game about, as I'm going to bring up, Northern Lights. Boop. Let's see. Set in the 1980s, so before my time, unless I mean in the late 1980s, I'm old. You are an amateur filmmaker with a knack for horror films. You'll be leaving your life and best friends in New Orleans behind. Oh good, you're leaving New Orleans. As you make your own way forward, traveling to Montana, or for... Man, this text is small. For the only Sorry, let me just turn this down just a smidge. Boop. It's not the usual stuff. That's... There we go. Continue reading. Okay, leaving Louisiana for Montana, and then only college with an arts program you can afford. Defiant of your father's entrancing intentions, no longer willing to be his walking trophy rack. Let me increase the size of this because maybe it's because like I'm leaning over a bit, but it seems a bit far away. Okay, there we go. In the climate of friendship, a budding romance, self-acceptance, folklore, and mystery, you'll confront your repressed feelings with the support of new friends and face challenges even greater than navigating life as a college freshman. Northern Lights is a slowly built, grounded, slice-of-life story where you embark on a journey of discovery alongside an array of interesting characters who are just as oblivious about the secrets of their town and neck of the woods as you are, growing together, bonding through shared experiences. Explore the story with your friends rather than through them. It's up to y'all to focus and pay attention to the world around you, pull on the threads, and dig deep to find answers. What secrets will you learn about the past of Aspen Hollow? Will you have the strength to embrace an uncertain future and thrive? Will you accept your true self at long last? They put 2 ats there. But yeah. So I can't remember. Did I pick this because Haps is the art director, and I'm like, okay, I like Haps. They draw shit good. Yeah, I'm biased. Give me a break. Also biased against New Orleans. Actually, I've never ever been there, but I have been to Fushon, and it sucked. Getting off the ship and being like, oh, there is like horse flies and humidity and all that stuff, and it was terrible. And anyways, and of this quick look. So please comment, guys. I like comments, if you like, dislike, tips, or otherwise. If you like YouTube and Linksy Grow, then please subscribe and check out the videos that grow. And please remember to spay your animals that control the pet population. And if you want to play the previous game, I already told you that. But if you want to play the new game, then it's available free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and get the newest version earlier, you can go to Patreon, where it's $3 a month. And until next time, another quick look. Me, GamerWolfSix, of some other furry visual novel. That being, that one up there. Oops, sorry, I was trying to point my muzzle up there. Yep, there we go. Northern Lights. I was trying to do it even more, but that, desyncs it. Oh, thanks and see you. Click.